let's install these ambient lights on my Audi. So a lot of you have been asking me how I do these lights and where I get them from. So today I'm going to show you on this back door. So this is what the kit looks like. It's the little LED strip with a little connection on the end. That routes to controller that I have set up in here, and I will show you guys that in a second. So the way that I did it for this trim piece right here is I shoved the pick in here and kind of lifted up on this. Once you lift this up, you can wedge this other pick in here to kind of work it up and then work the trim piece away from the leather. Now be careful when you do this so you don't break it, because it's actually a pretty expensive fix, especially on these carbon fiber pieces. All right, so what I'm doing here is I am wedging this trim piece in here, and I'm pushing these in with my finger into the crevice in between the trim piece and the leather. This allows it to open up just enough for this to fit in there, and then it'll, once you take this out, it'll actually clamp down onto the LED light, holding it in place. All right, so I've got the piece in here. As you can see, it looks pretty good. It's even all the way around. The way that you do this side is there's a little gap in here, which is just enough to get this black piece in up like this with some adhesive tape. Now this kit comes with some adhesive tape, but you can just use any two-sided tape. It doesn't really matter as long as it's pretty thin. So as you can see, I've got the 3M tape mounted onto the strip. Now what we're going to do next is rip off this corner and rip off this red lining so we can then glue it to the thing. So mine's a little longer than I needed it, and it's actually completely safe to cut these down to the length that you need. All right, so once you're done, it should look something like this with the tape glued on. So now let's move on to the hard part, which is the wiring. The way that I did it is this wire is going out into the weather strip, runs down, goes to this connector right here, which is, you know, like push down, which fits just perfect in between this door and this trim piece. And then runs down the weather strip again and down, and it's going to run under the mat all the way to the control in the center console. So let's do that. So this is where we're at right now. I've got this one going down under the mat, and it comes out right here. Now I'm going to route this controller in the middle, which is just a direct plug into the other ones. As you can see, I've got the other wires from the front ambient lighting. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you guys the final result. For anyone curious, this is what the controller looks like with these plugs for the back two lights. All right, so here's the final product.